Welcome to the Ratio Show, and I'm your host, Michael Vorpal. That's Real Actions Today, Inspire Others Show, and I'm your host, Michael Vorpal. So this might be your first time here and the first time you're ever seeing me. So let's get to know one another a little bit. I am a United States Marine, and because the world loves red tape and people seem to lack common sense, I have to say that nothing I say here is officially endorsed by the Department of War or any of the other branches and official departments. Yeah, I know it's shocking that they didn't co-sign on my podcast opinions. Everything here is just me, my experiences, my thoughts, my stories. And in case you didn't notice, I could be a little sarcastic, but seriously, everything are my own thoughts and fruitions, and I'm happy you're here. But there is a price for the show. Since you're here watching this and I'm being vulnerable, with some of the topics that we will discuss and you will see me discuss on here, I do ask that you pay the price and be nice. So be nice, pay the price, and share the show. That's the price. All right. And by being nice, sharing the show with a loved one, coworker, someone who you know needs the message is how we are going to spread the Real Actions Today, Inspire Others mission, because I want to be able to take some action for you to inspire you to get better, to think for yourself, to critically think, because I truly believe that there's a lack of that in the world today. And if you don't believe that there's a lack of that in the world today, then we can absolutely discuss that. So there's going to be a lot of different formats for the show. Again, I'm just getting back into this. I was into this for quite some time, but life happened, and I know it's an excuse, but I just had to really take a step back, figure out what I needed to do with my voice, with my platform. I've been blessed by God to be able to speak fairly well, and I do believe that I need to use my voice for His glory, His kingdom, but ultimately that also means not only sharing things with you to bring you closer to Him, but also to just live a better life and to embark the lessons that I've been blessed with to learn, to share with you, so that maybe you don't have to sit here and go through the same hardships. Okay. But I think it's important to understand the foundation of what allows me to go day to day anyway, because in this thing called life, without the foundation, it's much like your house or your home or temple. You're not going to be able to withstand the storms, withstand the wind, withstand the natural disasters that occur in our life, because there is good and there is evil, and the two oppose each other at all times. Things of this world will absolutely ransack and destroy everything, to include ourselves, which is the most important thing, without a solid foundation. So here are my solid foundations. Here are the things that I put my energy, focus, and investment into every single day. Okay. I know Sal Frisella. You should look him up on Instagram, Sal Frisella. I'm stealing his analogy or his visual, and that's buckets. I really like the bucket analogy, because I imagine my buckets on ropes, and they're kind of, hey, this one gets heavy, which means I put more focus in there. Okay. So first you want to identify your buckets, and sometimes you're going to realize that, oh, I'm putting more attention in this bucket, so it's hanging a little lower, and this is getting drawn up because I'm not investing as much. And as much as we want to even have a balance, what we have to reconcile in our foundation is not everything's going to be balanced, but we can put quality into every bucket. But some seasons, sometimes you're going to have to focus in one bucket more than the other. And sometimes people have 3 buckets, 4 buckets, 5 buckets. For me, these are my buckets. First and foremost is my faith. Okay. I'm a Christian. I have to read the word every day, some sort of scripture. It is the living, breathing word of God. And this is what is going to absolutely set the foundation for my life. So it's absolutely one of my buckets. So not only am I in the word every day, but I also have this 1 year devotion specifically for men, this one in strength, being a husband, a father, and just a good godly man. And it has all the little tabs, all the colors, all of those things. But I started here Now I'm here. So I am almost a year through. First time ever I've ever gone this many consecutive days in a row. And it absolutely changed my life. The fact that I didn't make this the foundation for so long blows my mind, because not only am I sharper, I am more sound, I am more firm, I am more confident, I am more knowledgeable, I have better discernment, I'm a better communicator, loving, like all of those things, because I have set a lot of focus and a lot of attention in my foundational bucket of faith. Okay. So faith is one of my buckets, and I even journal. So I have this notebook that I've been journaling my thoughts every single day. All right. So another aspect on top of faith is as a husband. So family, father and husband, family. So faith, family. Okay. So what I mean by that is, am I giving my wife as much undivided attention as I can that given day? Now, sometimes I'm in the Marine Corps. Like my time, I get home really late. She's really tired. She's not feeling good. That's perfectly fine. I solely focus on her in those times. And I have had to grow into this in terms of growing that relationship with my wife. Now, my faith is tying into my family, as it should. So then I also am a father, so I have to invest that time as a father. Okay. So that means paying attention to my daughter. Like, does she need a stern father right now? Does she need a caring one? Does she need an understanding one? Does she need a father who's going to help her with her homework right now? Who's going to be holding her accountable? Did you do your homework? Am I teaching her a lesson here? A life lesson? Am I investing in her in this way or that? But regardless, family. So it's going to take a lot of growth in terms of being there and investing that quality. Notice it's for them, though. It's not for me. It is for them. What do they need in this moment? Not what do I need. So I want you to pay attention to that. It's what do they need, not what do I need. So I have faith, I have family, now I have fitness. So on top of being a Marine, yes, we have physical fitness standards. I've been at it for over a decade and a half. I'm actually erring on the side of retiring. So kicking this back up and sharing the many lessons that I've learned over time is incredible to me. But being able to be physically fit, to be, the husband and attractiveness that my wife can be proud of, that's important to me. But ultimately for me, I used to be chubby. I used to be the pudgy kid growing up. I had low self-esteem. So being physically fit, being better than I was, and not going back to that is incredibly important to me. Plus, fitness directly impacts mental health. It directly impacts your mentality towards yourself, your self-esteem, your confidence, your ability to perform. It affects performance, right? So it'd be dumb not to focus on my fitness and my physical health, because it directly ties into my mental health every single time. So we have faith, family, fitness, and then finances. That's another big bucket in my life. Probably not a surprise, or maybe it is, but paying attention to finances. And this one really applies when you get the paycheck. Do you have a plan? Do you stick to the budget? Did you stick to the budget the last 2 weeks, the last week, however often you got paid, the month, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But also it directly impacts the family life, the fitness life, because it can impact supplements. It could impact your gym membership, that app that you're using. Like I use the First Form app. I actually coach people through that as well. So I have my finances set in order to do that, so that I can give back in not only to others, but to my family and myself as well. So we have faith, family, fitness, finance. Then one of the last ones that I invest in every single day is my self-development. And Andy Frisella, part of, his guidance and his mentorship about how to get better, really put it in perspective to me when he talks about reading 10 pages a day. So I didn't come up with this, but I'm just telling you what has absolutely changed my life. reading 10 pages a day. Backstory with that is I was self-conscious as a reader because about year 3 into the Marine Corps, I was on my second deployment. I was actually going to go become an explosive ordnance disposal technician. Well, part of that is an aptitude test. And when I took the aptitude test on my second deployment, I scored 12.9, and it's like grade level, 12.9 on everything except reading comprehension. The minimum I needed at the time, I don't know what it is now, but the minimum I needed at the time was an 11.0. I scored a 10.8. So talk about an ego hit. I was a United States Marine on my second deployment, and I found out I couldn't go pursue this because I had a 10.8 grade point reading level average for reading comprehension. I felt stupid. I felt absolutely dumb. Okay. I'm like, how? There's no way. And for the first time, I kind of felt like a failure for a little bit. All right. And that didn't really sit well with me, but I carried that for almost a decade, to be honest with you. I carried that for almost a decade. The only way to improve that, though, and overcome that and become confident in that, in reading comprehension, is to read. Exactly. So we have to read, right? Well, yeah, that's common sense. It's like looking back at it, I'm like, duh, I wish I could go back, punch myself in the face, snap out of it, get over it, and then go tackle the book. But I heard that message from Andy Frisella, 10 pages a day. And he shared his struggle a little bit too, how it took him forever to read and he wasn't really paying attention, like he really couldn't remember his struggle as well with reading. And I'm like, you know what? That's me. I'm going to do this 10 pages a day thing. So right now, the book I'm reading is Weapons of Mass Instruction, all about the absolutely horrendous school system we have here in America and really the history behind it and why it's crap and the changes that could be made from a 30 plus year teacher with a whole bunch of accolades, the highest accolades in the state. Anyway, go read the book, Weapons of Mass Instruction, John Taylor Gatto. And it's absolutely amazing how, as I was reading, my comprehension, whoa, newsflash, surprise, increased as well. Along with that was my confidence, so it tied into my mental health. Okay. You have to read nonfiction, self-development, something to learn. You know, maybe you have a certain thing you've been wanting to learn more about too. So like lately, I've been looking at more American history. I've been looking at things like that are going on, like how did the education system become the education system? So maybe you want to become not only more literate and educated, right? But you want to increase your finances. There's tons of books about financial freedom. There's the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. There's the Dave Ramsey. There's economic books or investment. Like maybe that's what you want to get into, but you can carve that up. And the average book I found is about around 300 pages. So 10 pages a day, 300 pages, that's 30 days, 1 month, you could read a book. Okay. But you do that every single day. And by the end of a year, you have read 12 books. The second stat that got me into this whole reading thing, and I'm really passionate about it, is it takes someone 10 to 15 years of their life to do all the research, the case studies, the writing, the cross-referencing, and to put together the best absolute product for you and I to consume. So that means in that same 30-day period, we could be reading 10 to 15 years worth of research and experience, extracting the absolute best things to apply to our life and exponentially increase or shorten the distance to get to the end result, but increase the end result a lot faster than that who wrote the book. And that is a gift from them to us to use in order to springboard our success. And those are my main buckets. Faith, family, fitness, self-development. And as long as I'm investing in doing the things that I need to do to reach the goals that I want to reach in each of those buckets, because you have to have goals, okay? I want to improve my communication. I want to get this much savings. I want to be able to have my investments making this much. Well, that means I have to do some sort of action every day. And that could mean I'm not buying as many energy drinks. My wife would love me. Not buying as many energy drinks. Maybe you're not just browsing Amazon all the time. And now you're feeding into that financial bucket by developing discipline in order to save that money or reallocate those funds to something that's feeding your financial goals. You see? So it doesn't necessarily have to be the action that you see like water getting poured into these buckets, but it could be remaining disciplined every day that's feeding into your bucket as well. So that's what I mean by sometimes these buckets are going to be off kilter because you're going to have to spend a little more money in order to get this that hopefully leads on a return of investment, which means come back around and then you'll be able to skyrocket other areas of your life. So you might not be able to save as much money every month because you're investing in supplements that are going to help you hit your protein goal. But because you're hitting your protein goal, your body's healthier, you're more agile, you're mentally sharp, you can perform better, you're not getting tired as much, your sleep's improving, which means you can perform better at work, which means you can go get that raise, which means you can just continue the small additional investment, get better here, but get that raise. But then because your mental health's better, you're investing in your family and your relationships. And then you're also just soaking up the knowledge to put into action. You see how all this is tying together now? That's the beauty of being able to identify the key, most important areas of your life. And then developing the goals, and then what actions are you going to do every day in order to do it? Because it's not the goal that matters, it's you staying on task. And that concept has been thrown around there. I didn't make that up, right? Some people call it a daily task list, a get stuff done list, a whatever, right? But they're tasks. You have to take action. They're action tasks. They're action steps. And it has to be real. It can't just be checking the box. It has to be real actions. And you have to do it today, right? Real actions today. And yes, you can inspire someone. Once you take real actions today, every single day, you are blessed to wake up again. You are blessed that you get another day. God has given you another day, so you shouldn't waste it. I know that seems like common sense, and I know when you hear that, you feel really good. I did too, but you need to take that, internalize that, and understand that the life and the opportunity He gave you are to fulfill these buckets, and then He will let your path be known. And you have gifts, but you have to take care of your body. You have to lean into Him. You have to manage your money in this world. You have to always grow and develop. That's what I have discerned. The core buckets for me is what I have discerned you need to do anything else, because everything else stems from the first and foremost biggest bucket foundation, which is faith, which is God and Jesus Christ. So if I'm going to challenge you to get into any bucket, it's going to be that bucket first. Open up the Bible. Get back in the Gospels. Get back in the Gospels. Talking with someone I work with who's just on fire for God like me, he always suggests everyone, and I did this myself, and I understand why the suggestion's there. Start with the book of John and then go back to Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Let's increase our faith bucket. Make the deposits in the faith bucket. That should have the most deposits ever out of any of your buckets, because that's the foundation for everything. And in there, you'll learn we have to take care of the other buckets that are foundational in our life and how to do that actually. You can do it. I know you can. Here's your permission. Here's your sign to go be great. Identify your buckets. Figure out the goals for each bucket. Create what you have to do, your actions that you have to do every day to reach the goal over time. because it'll be a timeless pursuit. And your goals are going to change, but the tasks are where the rubber meets the road and where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. The actions behind what you do. Actions lead to the end result, which is the goal, not having a goal. Again, real actions today inspire others. So let's go out and take those real actions and go make a difference. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it made you think, provided some value to you. If it did, again, there is a price for the show. So be nice, pay the price, share the show, and we'll talk to you next time.